Hi, sweeties. So we're back with some more enlisted. We're gonna throw on this here TED Talk while we're playing. Gonna be letting some Vegas World run in the background. We're out here farming, baby. So gonna start this up. Hopefully that's loud enough. Alright. So our dailies today are not super annoying. Pretty easy, frankly.
Oh, thank you. How many of you started your day with a cup of coffee? I think we all know that applies to most of us. But did you know that the drink you began your morning with had its origins in the Kaffa region of Ethiopia? This is a place where coffee is still produced at scale today. You can see coffee cultivation here, how the forest has been cleared to make room for the coffee trees. But without that forest, the ecosystem gets depleted. So the farmers need a lot of irrigation and fertilizers to keep those trees growing. But the more fertilizers they use, the more degraded the ecosystem gets. So the following year they need even more fertilizers. Unfortunately, the more these ecosystems get depleted, the less productive they become. This is a vicious cycle that is really dangerous to the people in that region. In fact, the UN suggests that this kind of vicious cycle is one of the largest contributors to land degradation across the planet.
How do they have planes up already?
But what if we did things a little bit differently? Here I'd like to introduce Desta's coffee farm. This is a farm in the same Kaffa region of Ethiopia. But instead of removing the forest, Desta is actually working with the forest to increase productivity. So instead of removing those trees,
Are
the
they just
trees are
random
allowed to grow
planes?
into a
Like what?
beautiful
Oh, they're
tropical
paratroopers.
forest. He
Ah,
plants
yes.
native coffee plants within the sunny patches
Oh, dear.
in that forest. Because the forest traps water and nutrients, those coffee trees grow well without the need for fertilizers or irrigation. So the healthier the forest gets, the better the plants grow. And Desta is now even introducing
Jeez, look at them all.
which pollinate those coffee plants, increasing their yields by up to 30%, at the same time as producing honey and wax which he can sell. So the healthier the ecosystem gets, the better quality coffee he can produce. So he's turning that vicious cycle into a virtuous one.
I'm hit!
My God.
Scientists call these kind of cycles feedback loops. A feedback is a process that causes something to happen, which then reinforces that process so it continues to grow. And feedback loops like this don't only underpin our coffee habits, they influence some of the most powerful forces in nature. Like, for example, after the Big Bang, when atoms were distributed all over the place. Some of them were closer together than others, which meant that they got pulled together with gravity. But once they've clustered, this cluster now has more gravitational pull. Over time, the bigger those clusters get, the more gravitational pull they have, and the more elements get pulled towards them. It's feedback loops like this that continue to grow and eventually form the creation of stars and all of the matter in the known universe. Feedbacks like this underpin our evolution, the proliferation of humans across our planet. They even determine our own behavior, which is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's also why we continue to degrade ecosystems across our planet. Feedbacks like this are immensely powerful forces. But what I want to show you today is that we're not only subject to these immense
Oh,
forces,
come on, bruh.
because when we understand them and work with them, they can become incredibly powerful tools for positive change.
He's taking his time.
The crazy thing is that our planet has not always been a habitable place. In fact, it used to be a pretty brutal place, with barren rocks, volcanoes and noxious gases. We couldn't even breathe the air back then. That was until something unexpected happened. Life emerged. We still don't know how, but around 3 billion years ago, primitive bacteria developed and started spreading all over the world. Eventually, primitive cyanobacteria started releasing oxygen, and this simple process transformed the atmosphere, allowing other oxygen-dependent life forms to develop. Once those species evolved, every new species transformed the environment a little more, so that new species could emerge. Over millions and millions of years, This feedback loop transformed the
they
environment,
took it.
forming an immense and interconnected web of interactions where every species depends on others to survive. They all need other species to live on, to live under, to eat, to pollinate, to fight. Yes, we even found that fighting is important for increasing biodiversity. When we put just 2 fungi in a petri dish and allow them to fight, one of them almost always kills the other, and the system collapses. But when we add a 3rd species to the petri dish, they often fight against the dominant species, allowing the other individual to survive. It's like a rock, paper, scissors scenario, where the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the more species that we include in the area, the more likely we are to find those intransitive loops that increase the chances that all species survive. And that's just with 3 or 4 fungi sprouting in a lab. Now imagine the infinite web of interactions in an ecosystem, with all sorts of plants, birds, mammals, insects, microbes, fungi. The more connected this network becomes, the more species it can support. Diversity begets diversity. Life leads to more life. It's the perfect global scale biodiversity feedbacks.
What a bitch.
Regulate.
Ooh, I shouldn't have said
Diverse
shit.
environments lock away carbon in the long term, which leads to a more stable planet, which benefits that biodiversity, leading to an even more stable
Oh shit.
The more species there are in that system, the more stable that
Woo.
cycle becomes. And that
Damn, he had an
feedback
impact
loop
grenade.
has
That
built
was
favourable
close.
climate
I was actually about to
conditions
run
that
up to him.
allow us to thrive, which means
Yikes.
that biodiversity is our life support system. But, as we are all aware, humans are now breaking this essential cycle.
No, that doesn't give me shit.
Our exploitative approach to growth is degrading the ecosystems that
Bruh.
support us, turning them back into the lifeless landscapes that we have.
Oh, I forgot to switch the plane back. What a fool.
By now, we've altered about 70% of the Earth's vegetative land, and less than 5% of the remaining ecosystems are still in their natural, interconnected state. And our excess carbon emissions are causing climate change, which is weakening the essential life support system even more. The more
Bye.
we exploit, the more we grow. This new
Hey, what?
feedback loop is only
Oh,
a
you
couple of
fucker.
centuries old, but it's already grown beyond our control. And it's initiating new feedback loops that are accelerating the problem further. For example, we
Damn it.
found that in a
This
warming
fucking
climate,
game.
rising temperatures can cause microorganisms in the soil.
Oh, you
releasing more
fucking
carbon dioxide,
God.
which can accelerate the rate of warming.
I forgot that you have to
This
swap the
additional
damn
carbon losses leading to more warming.
piece.
And feedback loops like this are being felt
There we go.
across every ecosystem. The more ice that melts in a warming climate, the less reflective our planet becomes. The more heat
Okay,
is
great. I
driving
don't know what
more
that guy
ice
was
melting.
doing.
Drier forests lead to less carbon storage, leading to more fires, leading to more carbon emissions, and the list goes on. In short, we are actively changing our environment back into the one that humans are not adapted to thrive in. The power of these global feedbacks is overwhelming and intimidating. And it feels like we as individuals can do nothing to help fight against them. But what we've learned, and in fact this is what drives all of our ongoing research, instead of pushing back against these feedbacks, we can actually learn to work with feedbacks to drive opportunities for positive change. And nature holds many of the seeds to drive these kinds of feedbacks. And we're only just beginning to understand the scale of that opportunity. A few years ago, we conducted a study to map tree density across the global forest system. This revealed that our Earth is home to just over 3 trillion trees. But using these same approaches, we could also see that outside of urban and agricultural lands, there's about 0.9 billion hectares where trees would naturally exist.
Yeah.
If we could protect those areas, there's room for 1 trillion new trees to naturally recover. And if they could reach maturity, then the regenerating forest would capture up to 30% of the excess carbon that we've released into the atmosphere to date. This massive potential really helped to put nature on the map. It became clear that nature is a very real and tangible part of our fight against climate change. It's critical to
Bruh.
and revitalize to stop the damage and start the repair. And when the media reported our findings, this idea went viral. You know something strange is happening when Al Gore and Donald Trump both start talking about the power of trees. And the more people talked about it, the bigger the idea became. It even inspired the UN and World Economic Forum to launch their Trillion Tree campaigns, just in time for the launch of the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration.
Triple bruh!
Nature restoration was going mainstream. But it wasn't yet a feedback loop, because it didn't have self-sustaining momentum. Nature is not just an easy way out, or an excuse to ignore our devastating carbon
I should have moved my shit.
And restoration
What
is
was I
not a top-down
thinking?
global challenge.
Why
In
did
fact,
I
when
not
people
do
make this mistake, the
that?
results can be devastating. Too often it can result in mass plantations of trees. A blanket
Why
or
did I
so often
not do
composed of just a
that?
single species, a monoculture, which
Why
destroys
did
the
I not
thousands
do
of species
that?
naturally exist there. These vast plantations are not sustainable and they can be devastating.
Why am I
for
brain
biodiversity
dead?
and the people who depend on it. The economic systems that got us into this situation are themselves driven
Why
by
did they steal
incredibly
my kill?
powerful,
Damn, I
often
can't catch a
destructive
break
feedback
today.
loops. You can't just
Damn, I'm
push
best on the
against them by
team too. This
planting
ain't
a
good.
tree.
I ain't even been doing good.
Yes, these global declarations can be useful for raising
Oh.
awareness, but real global scale restoration can only be achieved through a bottom-up movement, where local communities across the world are empowered to build their own positive feedback loops and drive their own momentum. That is why we've built Restore, an online digital platform that takes thousands of projects across the world. Restore is like a Google Maps, but for restoration. So instead of seeing cities and shops, you'll see conservation projects or sustainable farms. These practitioners around the world can use it to gain ecological insights, but also to connect with one another across the planet. So far, over 120,000 local sites have started using Restore to rebuild their local ecosystems. And when we look across all of those projects, one feature emerges as the key to restoration success. Projects are most likely to succeed when they find the solutions that make biodiversity the economically sustainable option for local people. When healthy nature becomes the economic choice, you cannot stop this feedback from gaining momentum and developing across the landscape. So let's go back to Desta's coffee farm in Ethiopia, which we can see here on Restore. On the left, you can see all of the ecological data that he uses to make his decisions, showing which native species grow in the region and the environmental conditions they support. We can also get monitoring data to see carbon and water storage and how it changes over time in response to his decisions.
Where'd that guy go?
But by far the most valuable thing for Desta is the connectivity. On Restore, he's connected to the entire restoration movement. He's visible to investors who might be interested in the company, or to his customers who can now see where their coffee comes from. With Restore, those customers can begin to understand the impacts of the coffee that they are drinking. And this is having a huge effect on business. Because business is booming, the economic benefits are being felt by the entire community. Through this process, other farmers in the area are starting to protect forests so that they can recover on their land to improve coffee production. There's even discussions in the local school about setting up a new forest conservation area to grow sustainable coffee within.
Well, this is not a good place.
What we're seeing is the beginning of a new
Everybody
feedback
died. Let's go.
happening at the landscape scale, where protecting nature leads to more economic sustainability, which leads to more protection of nature. This is a lovely story, but until now, people like Desta have been working in isolation. But the best part of stories like this is that we are seeing them all across the planet, in every ecosystem. In Northern Europe, we see farmers introducing mixed species into their landscapes to increase agricultural yields at the same time as increasing carbon capture. In Kenya, we see the planting of native trees to improve the fertility of agricultural yields for local communities. When nature becomes the economically viable option for people, you cannot stop it from growing across the landscape. Each of these projects is for the local biodiversity and the people who depend on it. But as that network of collective action grows, it benefits all of us. With tools like Restore, we have access to the entire environmental movement here in our pockets. We can support it by volunteering or donating, by buying their sustainably sourced products, or even by rewilding our own back gardens. With this tool, everyone everywhere can engage in the movement. And this positive mass action is how we can collectively build a powerful new feedback loop. The more projects that come online, the more useful it becomes to the public. And the more of us that join up, the more it empowers those projects, so even more of them will sign on. Because what we consistently find is that the ability for us to engage is a tremendous source of momentum. When 8 billion people build positive, reinforcing feedback loops like this all over the world, transformative change is not only possible,
That's not good.
It's likely. We've transformed our planet before, which means it's in our grasp to do so again, but in a positive direction too, so that nature and humans can thrive.
Oh, he's coming right up to me. What a sweetie. Boop! I don't think that'll kill him. Oh shit. I hate this game. That didn't do it. Didn't even stop him. Okay. Alright, that definitely did. Oh, come on. I thought that would get him. Oh shit.
Couvrez-moi. Don't let the enemy fortify their position.
Boop. Hee hee. Whoops. Oh my god. Funny. Alright. Let's drop in, I guess. Drop over here. Are we winning? Let's open our boxes. Oh boy, we got jack shit. Ooh, this looks cool. Oh, from 1 month ago too. I love finding current things.
So it's a great pleasure and honor to be here amongst all of you. Such an amazing topic. Being the essence of being human. Intelligence, consciousness, and humanity. So I'll focus on one topic, that is consciousness. So if we want to understand this one word, consciousness, we need to understand our identity. So for that, let's do one small activity. It might be a little trivial, but we'll arrive to a very profound conclusion. Requesting your participation. Everyone, right hand up. Okay. Okay, please, thank you. Please point your head. Everyone? Okay. Your nose, your neck, your body, yourself. I went to another place to give the same talk and asked this question. I said your body, yourself. See, it's a very, very important question here. See, and when I said your body, when I said your head, your hand. So this hand belongs to me. This head belongs to me. This body belongs to me. And the question is, where am I? Because it belongs to me. So I should be there. Very nicely this is established in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 13. It says, Dehinosmen yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jana tatha dehantara prapte dhirastatra namoyati Two words. Dehi and Deha. Deha, body. And the
Show 'em
possessor
again.
of the Deha or body is called as Dehi. And that is all of us. And very firmly this point is established that all of us, we are not this body, but we are spirit, soul within
Oh.
the body. And therefore, when someone dies, what do we say? The person has passed away. But the body is there in front. Who has passed away? The person has passed away from the body. Therefore, the point established is we are spirit, soul. So now the question comes, what is consciousness? So when we say spirit, soul, the symptom of the spirit, soul is consciousness.
You fucking dickhead.
Therefore, whenever we see a living and a dead, what's the difference
Bruh.
between the two? The presence of
Yeah,
consciousness.
that's funny.
So as soon as a person dies, the spirit soul leaves, there's no consciousness. And all of us sitting here, we're conscious beings. But you know what? Consciousness
they were
is
bombers.
also at different levels. The lowest level of consciousness is called as Annamaya. Maya means full. Anna means food. So full of food. So these personalities at this level of consciousness, all the time they keep thinking about food. I don't know how many of you had this experience, playing with the kid having few teeth in front. The kid is there around holding your hand or your finger and you're talking to someone and the finger goes into the mouth and yes. What do the kids are like that? Why the kids are like that? Because they are on the platform of Annamaya. You'll see them putting anything and everything in the mouth. So at this level of consciousness, the person only thinks about his own enjoyment. Okay, let's go a bit higher. Going a little higher. The next one is called as Pranamaya. Prana means life. Full of life. What does that mean? Now the person understands that he has an existence and he has to maintain it. For example, again, say a child puts his hand in fire. Will he ever dare to do that again? And we have the saying, the burned child dreads the fire. So now the child realizes, now I have to maintain my existence. He'll never touch the fire. So at this level of consciousness called Pranamaya, so the person is very much aware about his existence and he tries his best to defend himself, protect himself. And this is what is all about at Pranamaya consciousness. In Mahabharata, there is one beautiful shloka which talks about what are these two levels of, what activities these two levels of consciousness people do. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyamaitat pashubhinarana dharmo hitesho adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhi samana. So it is described that 4 activities: food, eating, sleeping, enjoyment of sex, and defense. These are the 4 instincts which all the animals do. And along with that, even humans at the lowest level of consciousness of Annamaya and Pranamaya focus only on this. My enjoyment, my protection. That's it. Let's go a little higher now. We saw Annamaya, Pranamaya. The next one is Manomaya. Manomaya means full of mind. Now the person thinks about what he's thinking. He tries to refine his thought process. Intellectual pursuit. He wants to be a better person now. So now what he does is, he starts thinking, is it proper, is it not proper? Like for example, say he gets angry. And when he's angry, he's thinking, is it okay to be angry now? How should I react? Should I respond? What am I supposed to do? Anyways, the matter is not so serious. Let's not be angry now. And he withholds his anger. Just think about it. So now the same person is going higher in his consciousness level. Now he starts thinking how to behave, how to react, or how to respond. Okay, let's go a bit higher now. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. Now the higher one is called as Vijnanamaya, full of knowledge. Now such a person is aware or trying to be aware that he is not this body. but spirit soul. He understands this, and he also understands that each and every one, even the non-human species, is a living entity, is a spirit soul. As soon as he understands that, his dealings are different. His dealings are very nice. He tries to serve everyone. Isn't that amazing? Up to his capacity, he tries his best. Up to my capacity, I'll try to do it. But then there is some highest level of consciousness that's called as Anandamaya, full of happiness. At this level, the person is aware, is conscious of God. He's conscious of his relationship with God. He's conscious of each and every living entity's relationship with God and his relationship with the living entities. And now at this level, he goes to any extent, even at the cost of his own life, to help the other personalities. A very wonderful incident which I heard. There was one person at this level of consciousness. He was walking with his friend. There was a pond, and in that pond there was one scorpion that was drowning. And I don't know how many of you know scorpions don't know to swim.
Yikes.
So this person went and he got that scorpion up with his hand. And guess what? The scorpion bit the person. He dropped the scorpion down. Again he lifted it. Again it bit. And again he dropped it down. Third time he was about to take, and his friend is watching. What is this person doing? And again he picked it up. And the scorpion bit him and he dropped it. At that time, fourth time when he was about to pick, his friend said, "Come on, leave it, he's fighting you, leave it." And guess what the person said? He said, "The scorpion's nature is to bite. It is not leaving its nature. My nature is to help. Why should I leave my nature?" Isn't that amazing? So this is the level of a person who is there on Anandamaya platform. Therefore, this question comes, why should I raise my consciousness level? Because when I raise my consciousness level with higher and higher consciousness, one thing is, I'll be able to relish deeper stability, security, and satisfaction. The person will be very blissful, very blissful. I'm sure after hearing this, you might be asking this question to yourself, how to raise this consciousness? How should I do that? So this is how our consciousness is. Yes. Everyone. And when this question comes, how to raise one's consciousness, can you help with this? Okay, it's open. The only thing that I'm supposed to do is purify the consciousness. Go on purifying. Yes. So when I go on purifying the consciousness, you'll see, with time, the consciousness becomes pure. Yes? But now the question is, okay, you poured the water and you said its consciousness is pure. What is that pouring of water all about in one's life? That is spiritual practice. Every single day one should have a spiritual dose, or I should be more particular, spiritual practice. At least in my life, when I started my spiritual journey, I came across a very simple, practical and a profound spiritual practice called mantra meditation. So effective, so wonderful, that one can surely experience the change within.
Ow.
And the raising of one's own consciousness. Obviously, long way to go, no doubt. But then one can perceive that change in oneself. Okay, instead of I speaking about consciousness or I speaking about mantra meditation, let's do some practicals now. We'll all do meditation? Yes? Few minutes? Okay. So everyone with your eyes closed, sit in any comfortable posture. We're going to chant one mantra, the famous mantra called the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So let's prepare our mind for that first. So please be aware that you're sitting amongst very, very inquisitive people. Please be aware that this opportunity
another Lanny 50
to do mantra meditation, sitting in auditorium, is a very rare opportunity. And please be aware that this mantra meditation has the power to raise our consciousness to higher levels. And what are we supposed to do in this? Chant and hear. Chant and hear. And tell your mind it's only for 3 minutes, that's it.
Kind of want to switch
Only for
these
3
to the
minutes.
Tommy.
So let's begin. So please repeat after me the invocation prayer. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar
That's pretty cool.
Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Now for the next 3 minutes, all of us together will chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you don't know, you can hear, and then you can join the team. Everyone with one voice will chant. And you'll see at the end of 3 minutes, the entire hall will be filled with that spiritual vibrations. But let's
The
begin.
shot deviation's
Hare
bigger.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
I already got my
Krishna,
pistol
Hare Hare.
deal.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
He
Hare
ain't getting
Hare.
tired of that.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Keep your eyes closed. And for the last 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Just gently stop. Keep your eyes closed. We're going to chant last 1 time. And you can have your voice loud enough. And we'll end the mantra meditation with that. Everyone together, one last time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now chant the same mantra in your mind, everyone. Within your mind, 3 times. Keep your eyes closed.
Yeah, it sucks. I could have bought 1 billion of those nice
So keeping our
Mausers.
eyes closed, let's offer a silent prayer to the Lord. Let's beg and pray to Him that He helps all of us to elevate our consciousness and be a very nice instrument in the society so that before we leave our body, we should be able to serve at least a few. And at the time of death, we leave our body with a smile on the face. So let's pray for all our near and dear ones. Let's pray for all the living entities all around the creation and end the mantra meditation session. Yes, gently open your eyes, everyone. Thank you very much. So all of you did a very wonderful mantra meditation. And this topic, the essence of being human, only one line I would like to say. The essence of being human is raising one's consciousness level to such an extent that everyone around feels it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. Shit. Yeah, oh, it would be so nice to have another Artie Luger. Also, I don't know why I never did that. That's silly. Okay. Let's do maybe one more. Yeah, let's just do one more. Just a nice chill game. See if we get Japan. I kind of hope I do. That would be sick. And it's the Germains again. Eh, here. That's gonna cost me... Oh, I forgot about the XP boost. I forgot that that is a thing. Well, I just wasted that. But yeah, now that takes away my 50% because I left one for a random arm. Oh, motherfuck. Didn't realize it's like that. Oh well, let's just do this. Let's just do Japan. Let me check the chat. Nothing in chat. Let's go back to Nate Hagen's, I guess, now. Though some of these look interesting. Consciousness, the Final Frontier. That looks interesting. This also looks interesting. Check out this stuff about energy. Oh my.
Service. Hospitals, they had to stop operations and supermarkets never stop. People do not realize that it may happen so fast.
Joining me today is my friend Pedro Prieto from Madrid, Spain, to discuss the power outage in the Iberian Peninsula that happened on April 29th. Pedro is the vice president of the Association for the Study of Energy Resources, which is an open space for debate and communications on energy issues, on the role in demography, development, economy, and ecology. Since 2004, Pedro has
Wait.
led several solar voltaic projects in Spain, as well as written numerous articles, co-authored a book with Charlie Hall called Spain's Photovoltaic Revolution, Energy Return on Investment, that challenged the conventional boundaries of energy analysis that are used in systemic calculations. Pedro has been a friend of mine for 20 years, and I called him up to see if he could share what happened during this blackout. Why did it happen? How might we think about it going forward, and the implications for society? Please welcome Pedro Prieto. Pedro Prieto, saludos amigo. Welcome to the show.
Saludos. Thank you very much.
You were on this show before on a reality roundtable maybe 2 years ago on electric vehicles. I am blessed to have some good friends in the country of Spain. You
Damn, I
are
missed it.
foremost among
Motherfucker.
them. Earlier this week, there was a blackout, which we're reading about in the United States. What happened? Give us a broad overview.
Well, it's difficult to know yet what really happened,
Oh my God.
because there are many factors that may have influence. But what happens basically is that about midday, which is exactly the moment where we have higher insulation, then
Oh, man,
about
my frames.
12:30, something like that, and it was a complete blackout, and it lasted. The recovery lasted for between 6 and
Fuck
24
my ass.
hours, depending on the part of the country, and everything went mad. I mean, everybody was in hell, and many people was disturbed, and they are still trying to analyze what happened. Fortunately, for such a complex country, we are 48 million now, and Portugal has 11. There's close to 60 million
Should have
people
loaded your shit,
were
bitch.
out of service. A small part of
Oh, my mouse
southern
didn't work.
France also was
Oh, you
affected, but
fucking-
immediately,
I
France,
can't believe that.
Immediately switch off the connections, and they
I need to
stabilize
rewind
the
that.
network without any
That's
problem.
so
But,
fucking shit.
We needed several hours,
Oh.
and now we are about 99.9%, but not yet even 100%. Some things have changed.
Bruh, what the hell?
7 nuclear reactors, and there were about 4 out of service. Not out of service, but they had been previously disconnected a few days ago. One for maintenance and for replacing the fuel rods. And the other 3, they were disconnected because excess capacity, because this is the period of the year in which we consume less. There is no central heating expenses, there are no aircon expenses yet, so the consumption was minimum. It was between 25, 27 gigawatts national consumption. And what happened is that we went down completely. I mean, the causes are still. I mean, everybody is very nervous, trying to put the responsibility on the others. This is what happens. I remember the phrase these days. I remember very much the phrase of Upton Sinclair when he said, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it." No, sorry. This is what is happening now. I mean, the ministry is trying to say that they were the operator. The operators, they say they were complying with the regulations. Some other people say is the excess of renewables that were. They could not manage to balance the excess of inputs with respect to the consumption. I mean, there are still many speculations. But the fact is that some others, they say that it was over 500 megawatts solar photovoltaic plant in the southern part of Spain, which went down suddenly, and they could not control immediately.
You're shitting me.
Energy through to France, to Portugal, and to Morocco, and then suddenly we went off, and this is what happens until now.
So what was it like? Maybe you could give an overview of you were in Madrid at the time where you live. What was it like during those 6-7 hours, and what kind of stories did you hear? And is there anything that you heard that we might not be aware of here in the United States?
Yes, of course. Probably in the United States, as you are accustomed. Even you have had, I understand, blackouts in New York and some areas of New York that probably, as far as I remember, there were 2-3 days to recover in some cases. But interesting things happen. I mean, that people do not realize that it may happen so fast. I mean, like for instance, in a fully electrified home like mine, I could not serve myself a coffee because everything is electric. So I could not heat. I should have had some gas cylinder to heat something in a small kitchen or something like that. But people was not able even to cook. I mean, the lifts were blocked
Oh
in
my
the
God.
big apartment blocks.
The elevators.
Yeah, 10,000 people were blocking the lifts, and there were no backup energy to move them in the hotels or something like that. I mean, sometimes I notice that some underdeveloped countries or countries less developed are sometimes better prepared for blackouts than ourselves. For instance, I'm living in Brazil, and I've seen that brownouts or blackouts are frequent, but I mean, almost every apartment block has a backup with a generator that jumps automatically when there is a blackout. So they still can manage with the lifts, or they still can manage with a minimum energy supply, electricity supply to the homes or something like that, but not in this case. So we were very badly prepared because we are very confident that our network will never stop. So we were causing. I mean, hospitals they had a problem. The hospitals they have backup, but not for every. I mean, they had to stop operations and the surgery of many normal and conventional operations. They could not transport some of the patients from the floors they were to make some scanners or radiographies or whatever. I mean, the telecom network is very important because what happened is also, I mean, in theory, I come from the telecommunication world. When we designed the networks, we designed them for at least 6 hours backup, so that you can still keep calling people and something like that. And the same for the base stations of the cellular network. And they were working, but the traffic was so heavy when the people were blackout that they decided to shut, I mean, and to cut all the video conferences, and then they started with the audio conferences, and then they moved to the text, and then finally not even the text. In my personal case, for instance, in my home, I was having the signals that I was a base station connected, but in 4 hours, not in 6, but in 4 hours, it was disconnected as well. So we could not communicate with each other. And then we have a problem in our country, and I suppose that also in the United States, is that we are accustomed to the immediate responses. I mean,
Oh,
we are
lucky that I
people
found
very
them.
anxious. And if you want to know what is happening to your brother or to your family or a friend or whatever, you try to connect immediately. And if you cannot, you even hyperventilate. I mean, the people started to be very nervous at the beginning. Contrary to what it may happen, this is a very social country. I mean, people socialize very much. So what happened is that people went out to the streets, and they discovered that they have neighbors that normally they don't get in relation with usually. Supermarkets could not serve because they are so specialized that they are reading barcodes and something like that automatically. So there are very little cashiers for so many people. So when the lights are off and there is no electricity, they cannot serve, they cannot count, they cannot invoice.
Well, and the credit cards wouldn't work.
The credit cards didn't work neither because they depend on the network. It's interesting because in the past, all the telecom systems were copper cable. From the subscriber to the public switch, they were copper cable. And that means that when the electricity in a city or in a country went off, so you still had 6 hours, in theory, to communicate and to have connections, electrical connection. But now everything is optical fiber. So, and the sets, the telephone sets and the mobiles and something, I mean, mobiles, they have their own battery. But telephone sets, the fixed telephone sets, they don't have battery. And I mean, if you try to make a fixed telephone call, it doesn't work neither because they depend on the mains of the home. So it was I mean, supermarkets emptied, city gas, even the city gas and the water. You know that when there is no electricity, most of the cities, you do not get water by gravity in most of the city. So you still have the pressure in the pipes. But if everybody starts using water because they are afraid of what is going to happen, then the pressure of the system is going down, and you get without water if you are not if you are not hurrying in getting water. The same for the natural gas, which is sent by pipe.
So the takeaway message from what you just described is we are incredibly naively, fully dependent on electricity in cities.
That's it. It's very, very naive. I mean, and we were payments and petrol stations that doesn't work. I mean, the people stopped working in the offices and they say, well, if the first rumors were when some mobiles and cellular phones were still working, they said, oh, there is a problem in Spain. Even there were rumors that there is a problem in all Europe. Fortunately, it was not in all Europe, because if it is in all Europe, the problem would have been, it may have taken days or even a week or several weeks to recover. So I don't know, but it's a very complex issue. So the people went out of the offices back home, and then the traffic lights didn't work. So the traffic jams were horrible. I mean, we had 2 rings in the city in Madrid, and in Barcelona also, and the first ring was blocked. Then the second outer ring was blocked, and the people were blocked, completely blocked. That was incredible.
We're recording this on Thursday, May 1st. This happened 3 days ago. Are people, like in the United States, when we read the news about this, there were a lot of pictures of people just using their phones to have olives and beer at a diner, but I imagine that this was a traumatic event for a lot of people. Are things like totally back to normal, or are people worried, or what's the mood?
Many people initially they started to be worried, and I don't know why. Again, in your frankly programs and as experts in energy, we know that this may happen, but many people doesn't know that this may happen at any moment.
Whoops.
So they were, at the beginning, they were very worried. But then when they went out to the streets and they started talking to each other in a good day, in a good spring day, sunny day, or something like that, with bars open, even they could not serve many things.
Well, I mean,
so
just
they ended saying, okay, let's sit, have a beer, and have a tapa, and let's enjoy and see what happens, and that's all. And so the city was full of people walking around. I mean, and people even started enjoying the situation, the new situation, because they saw life in the city. Normally they are not concerned about the life of the others. I mean, they run each other from home to the work and vice versa, something like that. But this, they enjoy it very much.
It's a high standard deviation learning event, because I'm sure there were a lot of positives and a lot of negatives and a lot of things that people are learning from. I actually think because of this, it's less likely that this is going to happen in Spain in the near term, because the people in charge and the regulators are going to make sure that there's spinning reserve and cold start ability and backup, however they have to do it. But as we both know, that has a price, and that is higher cost. So in addition to being my friend, you have 2 other credentials for being able to speak to this topic. One is you wrote a book on EROI and solar voltaic and energy systems almost 15 years ago, kind of predicting that this would be one possible outcome of overly scaling intermittent energy technology. And the other is that you actually lived in Iraq during some blackouts. So I'd like to lean on your expertise on both of those situations. Let's start with the renewable issue. Why did this happen? Like, what are the general reasons that we do know, and what's left uncertain at this point?
There is nothing definitive yet, but what is certain is that we have one of the biggest penetrations of renewable energies in the world. In solar photovoltaics, we have, the total network has 100 530 gigawatts of installed power. I mean, this is just to give you an idea. We are in the size of California, I mean, for your US viewers. I mean, the size of California in inhabitants, the size of California in space, and the size of California in energy and electricity consumption. But we have a lot of renewables, as in California as well. This represents 65% of the total national capacity of installed power. However, when we consume now, we are consuming only the maximum peak.
7 out of 10.
When the blackout happened,
Damn.
we were consuming just 25,
Oh, I forgot
27
about the pistols
gigawatts.
too. What a fool.
So we have much more capacity. We never reached the peak. The maximum peak in 2024 in consumption was about 40, and we have 130 gigawatts installed.
Okay, so the most
So, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for checking this out. And y'all take care. Let's get our last little drop of dopamine. Oh, baby. Nothing. Well, that sucks.